Hey there folks, yet another video. I'm not going to overwhelm you or inundate you with these things, but I wanted to record several at the beginning of the semester to get us started off right. One of the things that I just have never understood about students is their, find the right word here, complacency is not quite right, or trust is not quite right, or don't know really what it is, but what I find a lot of times as I deal with students, as I deal with my students, with my advisees, with a variety of people, that 2/3 of the way through the semester, they come in and I say, well, how are things going? I think they're going pretty good. It's like, all right, well, what grade are you on track to get? Well, I think I might be getting a B. It's like, well, what do you mean you think you might be getting a B? Do you not know? There is a mathematical path to every grade that exists. And if you know what that path is and you can plug in numbers, you know exactly what you're going to get. Now, unfortunately, a lot of times we as professors don't do a really good job, I don't think, of giving you exactly how we're going to calculate your grade. So you have to guess a little bit. But in a lot of cases, we give you the information in the syllabus and expect you to be able to do it yourself. It requires a little bit of algebra. And that's a thing that folks don't want to have to go back and rediscover once they pass the class. But I don't ever want you to wonder where you stand in terms of your grade. So for a lot of classes, especially if there are classes where I think that certain pieces of the grading are more important or count more than other components, I'll create a little Excel sheet where you just plug in numbers and you can figure your grade at any point in time. On a class where everything is equal, that points are points are points, and you just have to amass a certain number of points, it's easy enough to figure out what your grade is because you just get a piece of paper, you put down all of your grades, and you add up the points and see where you stand. But for this class, for Organizational Theory and Behavior, summer of 2019, things are not all equal. Some pieces are worth more than other pieces. Tests are worth more than quizzes. The group or the concept activities are worth more than the assessment recaps. So just knowing how many points you made isn't quite as good as you really want it to be in terms of calculating your grade, because not only do you have to figure out how many points you've got, but you've got to be able to weight them appropriately and add those things together. So this particular video is talking you through how to figure out what your grade is. In order to really make sense of this video, though, you need to pause it and you need to go to the content section of the class under the syllabus and start activities, and you need to print a copy of the grade worksheet, I think is what I called it when I loaded it out there. When you click on that, it'll open up in an Excel file and you can print the first page and just to make notes on. You'll want to save that to some sort of a folder that you call Summer Org Theory or something, and then periodically as you take quizzes, as you take exams, as you get grades back on assessment recaps or concept activities, go and open up this file and plug in the numbers to the little gray boxes. And at first it looks pretty bleak because it's not designed to where you can have a real-time grade. It looks at a final end of the semester grade. So you accumulate points that are weighted all semester long. By the end of the semester, you've got a real number. Until then, you're missing things, and it's not really sophisticated enough to be able to estimate what those things might be. So early in the semester doesn't tell you a great amount of information, but it positions you to where you can start making some real good decisions toward the end of the semester. What do I need to make on this test? What do I need to make on that exam? What do I need to make on the final? What do I need to do in terms of these quizzes or whatever to get the grade that I want? So assuming that you have got a copy of the spreadsheet, it's going to look something like this. A couple of columns. You see that there's a column. I'm doing this backwards as I look at the screen for quizzes, all 25 of them. There's a column for the assessment recaps, the concept activities, and the exams. And then down here is where it starts to do all the math to put things together. Also notice that up here I reference this thing as a concept activity, but down here, again, I'm doing this backwards. There we go. I reference group activities. It's a concept activity. Other semesters, you'll do those things as a group, but for this semester that you won't. So basically the way the grade works is that each of the assessment recaps is worth 15 points. So the first one you get a 15, the second one you get a 13, the third one you get a 10, the fourth one you get a 15. You plug those numbers in, it adds all those up, it divides that total by 60, and it gets a percent. So you've gotten 93% of the points on the assessment recaps, or you've gotten 100% of the points. That number then drops to the bottom, and it weights those assessment recaps, that 97% of points, at 0.15, and it comes up with a number for the contribution. Same thing with the quizzes. 25 quizzes worth 10 points apiece. You'll get 10s, you'll get 9s, you'll get 7s, you might get a 3 or a 4, but it adds up all 25 of those numbers. At 10 apiece, that's a total possible of 250. Let's say that you get 200 out of 250. That's 4/5, right? Which is 80%, and 80% weighted at 25% means that you would contribute 20 points towards your final grade. With the exams, 4 exams, 100 points each, total of 400 points. So you made 360 out of 400. That's 90%, and that 90 weighted at 0.35 gives you, 33 points or something like that, 31 points. I don't know what it is. By the end of the semester, when every one of those gray boxes is filled in, you'll have a final grade in that big black box with one little asterisk. There are 2 bonus activities worth 1 point each. The check-in quiz that you're about to do is worth 1 point. And then there is another bonus activity toward the end of the semester that's worth 1 point. You take that number at the end of the semester that's in that final box with the big black box around it. Once again, I'm doing this backwards, so applaud for me if I can actually get my finger on the right box here. Bring it back this way, finger that way, go down. Right there, there's that big black box, big black bolded box. Take that particular number, and if you've done the check-in quiz, which you have to do to access the rest of the course, and you do the bonus at the end of the semester, you can add 2 to whatever's in that box. So if you've got an 89.2 in that box, and you did both activities, you've got a 91.2, and there's an A. There is no way to go back and make up those things. After I've added in those bonuses, you get what you get. Under very, very rare circumstances, am I going to say, after we've added in 2 bonus points and you've got an 89.9, that I'm going to call it an A, because I've already given you 2 points. So you make sure that you've got an 88 or better before you add those bonuses in, and that you've done both bonuses. Hopefully that makes this particular sheet of paper or this Excel file a little bit easier to use, and it positions you well during the semester to get an idea of how you're coming. Although this file won't do it, at any point in the semester, you could create your own subtotals. Let's say that you've done the first 2 assessment recaps, you've done 3 of the concept activities, you've done 2 of the exams, and you've done 14 of the quizzes. Well, at that point, you've gotten 30 possible points on the assessment recap, and you've got total points versus compared to 30 possible points. You've got 60 possible concept activity points, and you've gotten 45 out of 60 or whatever. That's a percentage. You've gotten 177 points out of 200 possible on the exams. That's a percentage. On your 14 quizzes, you've gotten 129 points out of 140. That's a percentage. At any point in time, you can force a subtotal percentage, apply those weights, and figure out realistically, roughly, at least speaking, where you stand at that particular moment in time. Because all you've got to do to get a real life snapshot picture of where you stand, it's an A, it's a B, it's a C, is just to change the denominators in all of those 4 things. Hopefully that makes sense to you. You remember enough basic math and algebra to be able to do that. If in the middle of the semester you got a question, you can't figure it out and calculate your grade, shoot me a text or send me an email on the GoView system in class, and I'll see if I can work it out and we can compare some notes and you can figure it out. But again, as I started off the video saying, it amazes me how frequently students are given the information to know where they stand academically, and yet they don't take the effort to really study it and create the tools that they need to calculate it so that they know for sure. I would hate to go into the end of the semester activities thinking I stand one place when I actually stand someplace altogether different, and thinking that I need to make a 90 on my exam when I really need to make a 96 on my exam. This should eliminate that confusion. If it doesn't make sense, holler at me and we'll help you work it out. Otherwise, I think you've got all the tools you need now to do well in the class. So let's get going. I'm looking forward to seeing those quizzes start coming in, those assessment recaps and those concept activities and things. Plan your time well, push yourself hard the first month of the semester, and you may be able to coast the last month of the semester. I hope it works out that way for you. And I'm here for you. Please consider me to be one of the most approachable teachers that you've ever had in college. That nothing's really off limits. I'll be honest with you if you catch me at a bad time, but I'll try to make time unless something is just on the calendar that I can't get around. And I look forward to interacting with you and hope that you have a really good semester.